Today we are going to recap a 2010 movie titled Edge of Darkness. Please be advised that there might be spoilers ahead. The film opens under the moonlight, with three lifeless bodies emerging and floating to the surface of the Connecticut River in western Massachusetts. It is unclear who these folks are. The scene shifts to homicide detective Thomas Craven waiting at Boston Airport South Station to pick up his daughter, Emma Craven, who is returning home for a visit. We learn that he is a single father who has dedicated many years to his career as a Boston homicide investigator. Emma, his only child, is 24 years old. He goes grocery shopping and returns to find Emma waiting for him. Emma suddenly vomits as she gets inside the car. He inquires, concerned, as to her well-being. Emma assures him that she is okay, and they go home. Despite his joy at finally meeting his daughter, Emma's health deteriorates unexpectedly. Back at home, Thomas and Emma decide to enjoy a wonderful dinner. Thomas makes dinner while Emma sits at the dining table, waiting for him. She gets a nosebleed again and starts vomiting. Emma becomes concerned, cries aloud, and immediately demands to see the doctor. She informs Thomas that she needs to tell him something. As they hurriedly leave to find a hospital, a masked gunman yells, "Craven," and fires two shotgun blasts at Emma simultaneously. She is blown through the door and dies in Thomas' arms. When Emma dies, Thomas's world falls apart. It is unclear if the masked man came to kill Thomas or Emma. He breaks down in sobs while holding his daughter's lifeless corpse close. The police arrive at the scene moments later. They believe that someone with ill intentions toward Thomas came for his life but accidentally shot his daughter. During the night, he wipes his face with a towel and sees streaks in his daughter's blood. Touched by grief, Thomas keeps the towel as a painful reminder of his cherished daughter. Overwhelmed by Emma's absence, he enters her room and searches through her stuff, craving her presence. During this, Thomas discovers Emma's phone. Suddenly, the phone rings and he answers, only to find silence on the other end. He thinks it strange but does not call back. Thomas is consumed by the shock and grief of his daughter's death, and his thoughts of her continue to torment him. The next morning, he returns to the police station to assist in the investigation of who intended to assassinate him. He instructs the forensic team to collect contact information from Emma's phone. Despite his senior officer's suggestion that he take leave, Thomas insists on completing the probe personally. Determined to find answers, he goes to the doctor who did Emma's post-mortem. When he inquires about it, the doctor informs him that the cause of death was a bullet wound. Thomas requests a pair of scissors and keeps a lock of Emma's hair as a souvenir. Following this, Thomas walks to a beach and scatters Emma's ashes. When he returns, he examines Emma's purse and finds her company ID card, which reveals her employment with the Northmore Company. In Emma's room, he discovers a pistol in a drawer on her nightstand. The discovery of the gun leads him to believe that someone has been stalking his daughter, and that Emma was the intended target all along. Tracing the gun's serial number, he finds that David Burnham is the registered owner. Thomas decides to go see David Burnham because he believes he is the one who called Emma last night. Thomas arrives at David's residence and knocks on the door. Meanwhile, we see David, who becomes vigilant and carries a knife. Thomas slowly unlocks the door and steps inside. David slams the door on his hand, causing Thomas to drop his gun. They struggle for a while, but Thomas eventually subdues David. He questions David, only to discover that he was Emma's boyfriend. Then he questions David about why he gave his daughter the gun. However, David declines to answer as he is also under surveillance. Then he finds some of Emma's items and delivers them to Thomas, along with her house keys, before telling him to leave. The revelation reveals that David and Emma were once employees of the same company. David is terrified of Northmore, and before leaving, Thomas offers him his card so that he can call him if he ever needs assistance. Thomas realizes David would not say anything more, so he goes to visit Emma's house. He wonders what may have caused Emma to have a gun with her. Inside Emma's residence, Thomas discovers a Geiger counter, which detects radiation. Thomas investigates and discovers that the lock of Emma's hair is radioactive. Meanwhile, an informant reveals to a man named Darius Jedberg that Jack is leading Northmore in the illicit production of nuclear weapons. Emma seemed to have acquired this information and intended to expose him. The police's belief that Emma's father's enmity led to her murder appears to be more nuanced than the facts suggest. Emma found that Northmore, a research and development center under contract to the US government and led by Jack, was secretly creating nuclear weapons from foreign material. The United States would trace the weapons to foreign countries if it used them as dirty bombs. Perhaps Northmore played a role in her death, creating the impression that the perpetrator was targeting Thomas. After learning about this, Thomas proceeds to call Emma's phone numbers, possibly in search of more information. He finds Melissa Conway's phone number and contacts her. Then he asks her to meet with him, because she is Emma's friend and co-worker. She first refuses to meet Thomas, but when she learns of her friend's untimely demise, she accepts. The next day, Thomas meets Jack, who informs Thomas that Northmore is not engaging in any illegal activity. They only conduct research on government-approved topics. In the scene that follows, Thomas burns Emma's garments in his backyard, sensing someone is following him. Thomas instantly draws his handgun and turns to see Darius Jedburgh, a British consultant, lounging nonchalantly in his lawn. Emma tasked Darius with stopping the revelation of her information and tying up any loose ends, especially those involving her father. Thomas is shocked when Darius reveals to him that people assumed his daughter was a terrorist. Following that, Darius shows Thomas images of 3 deceased individuals whose bodies were displayed at the beginning of the film. Darius states that they all attempted to enter Northmore to obtain information on their illegal activities. According to Darius, they perished while attempting to flee, hinting that something is wrong at Northmore. Darius also informs Thomas that Emma's computer is missing from her house. However, Thomas claims that he cannot believe his daughter was involved in illegal actions at Northmore. Following this, Darius says that Emma traveled with these 3 people to steal information from Northmore, but she escaped before they could apprehend her. Thomas now understands the message Emma was trying to convey to him, but her death prevented her from speaking. Darius likes Thomas and leaves him to investigate. The following day, Thomas visits Emma's boyfriend and inquires about Emma's involvement with those individuals. David tells Thomas that Emma was an activist who denounced Northmore's illegal actions to the authorities and wrote a letter to Senator Jim Pine. He explains that Emma wanted to expose the corruption at Northmore. David further clarifies that Emma did not come into contact with radiation during her research. Following this, Thomas returns the gun to David. The next day, David is discovered dead, shot in the head. Meanwhile, Thomas and Darius build a strong friendship. Darius informs Thomas that Emma's pals must have done something to expose themselves to the radiation, and he is determined to find out what happened. Following this, Thomas goes to see Mr. Sanderman, a lawyer who Emma told about Northmore before her death. However, as Mr. Sanderman is Northmore's corporation lawyer, he conceals the truth from Thomas. So, when Thomas inquires about it, he firmly denies it. After receiving no leads from Sanderman, Thomas travels to meet Melissa, one of Emma's activist friends, who informs him that Jack, the owner of Northmore, had become suspicious of Emma. Emma informed Melissa that she feared Jack had poisoned her. Melissa then admits that she has a 13-year-old child and that releasing any other information could threaten her life. As she prepares to leave, Melissa hands Thomas an envelope. Unfortunately, Jack appears to have intentionally planned an accident in which a car hits Melissa. The car takes a turn and is going to run over Thomas, but he shoots the driver, causing the vehicle to crash and plunge into a river. Thomas then took Melissa to the hospital, where she lost one of her legs as a result of the accident. Back in his car, he opens the envelope Melissa gave him. Inside, he discovers a CD, and after playing it, he discovers a video of his daughter, Emma, discussing the illicit production of nuclear weapons. Thomas now uncovers the reasons behind his daughter's murder. After a number of clues and days of inquiry, Thomas learns via Melissa, who was nearly killed by a Northmore agent, that Jack ordered Emma's murder, as well as those of the other activists Emma was working with to expose Northmore. Thomas uses a Geiger monitor to investigate Emma's fridge and finds that her milk is radioactive, suggesting a possible poisoning. Following this, Thomas approaches U.S. Senator Jim Pine, whom Emma had already called, stating that Thomas is aware of practically everything that has occurred. He tells him to properly investigate the case, and then he leaves. Later, Thomas is at home when Bill, a fellow detective and buddy, visits. Bill has betrayed Thomas, leading Northmore agents to break into the home. The agents tease Thomas and kidnap him. They load a passed-out Thomas into an ambulance and drive him to Northmore. He awakens shackled on a gurney at the Northmore facility. It appears that they have imprisoned him in a room, but he manages to escape. He returns home, but his health quickly deteriorates, and he vomits repeatedly. He recognizes that these are the signs of a radiation-induced illness. It's possible that Northmore agents poisoned him before his abduction. He believes he has little time, so he grabs his gun and sets out to assassinate Jack Benny. Thomas goes to Jack's house and, at gunpoint, forces one of the Northmore agents to yell "Craven" louder, eventually revealing the true killer of his daughter Emma. He shoots him, and then Jack and Thomas begin shooting at each other, both sustaining injuries. Following that, Thomas pours some of the radioactive milk down Jack's throat, knowing that he will also die soon. Following this, Jack flees to find the medicine, the antidote to the poison, and attempts to take several pills to counteract the radiation. Thomas, on the other hand, informs Jack that he deserves to die before shooting him dead. The scene shifts to Thomas, hospitalized due to gunshot wounds and radioactive poisoning. Meanwhile, Darius, who suffers from an unrelated fatal disease, meets with the senator and two political advisors who have engaged him to manage Thomas. Their goal is to put the Northmore incident in a favorable light. The senator emphasizes the importance of portraying Emma in public as a terrorist who poisoned her own father. Darius suggests that staging an assassination attempt on the senator could be a method for diverting media attention away from Jack's death. The group finds this notion intriguing, and they eagerly support the story, but their happiness is short-lived when Darius warns the senator that he is on the wrong side of the issue. In an unforeseen turn of events, Darius kills both advisors and the senator. During this time, a young and nervous police officer enters the senator's room. Darius holds him at gunpoint and asks whether he has children. After receiving an affirmative response, Darius lowers his gun, allowing the officer to shoot him fatally. In the final scene, Emma enters Thomas's chamber, leans down at his bedside, and speaks quietly into his ear as he nears the end of his life. Meanwhile, Thomas's life is ebbing away in the hospital due to his injuries and radiation exposure. On the other hand, a reporter from the local TV station opens an envelope from Thomas. Inside, she discovers DVDs recorded by Emma that reveal the scheme and cement Northmore's demise. As Thomas takes his last, Emma's soul comforts him. A beautiful moment depicts Thomas and Emma leaving the hospital hand in hand, walking down the corridor, and entering a white light together. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.